going. I want to talk about the shooting in Las Vegas, and the framing, how they're portraying the shooter, or lack of portrayal of the shooter, in comparison to the wider scope of things, as how other shooters of other races are portrayed in the media. First of all, I'd like to talk about the misinformation that is coming through the mainstream media is very, very disturbing. Like, in the early portions of the reporting, they were talking about multiple shooters, and these are like, I don't even know if you should consider this news, but like Yahoo, I don't know how much news that is. Probably like much news is like Fox News or something. I don't know. I don't know how much news that actually is. But I was reading reports that there were multiple shooters. They were looking for somebody there were like 2 cars that had showed up or something. Another shooter had got away in a car or something that the police were looking for. At the same time, they were showing this picture of they called her his roommate at the time, which turned out to be his girlfriend. And the way the news was talking about it, she was like in the vicinity or around there or something. Well, all the while she was in the Philippines, which came out later, like the next day or something. They found the shit out or whatever. But and they also noticed that they spend a lot of time talking about his girlfriend. They put her face up, and it's a raggedy ass picture, like it looks like a mugshot. It looks like it may be a California, like a driver's license picture or something, but it looks like a mugshot. There's no. If it was a driver's license picture, let's be clear. Let's talk about perception for a minute, because this has everything to do with how they use perception to form or change your reality, or change your view on reality. So say her picture was a DMV picture or driver's license picture. By them, and driver's license pictures look like mugshots. Just by them removing the border around that picture and them just showing the picture itself, you can jump to a conclusion that that's a mugshot picture, just immediately, without even thinking twice about it. I understand there's personal information on the driver's license, which, I mean, they can blur that out. There's no, I mean, they can make it so they at least put it in context, so people aren't saying, well, she's a criminal. I mean, so the whole framing, the attention is being shifted from him and put onto his girlfriend, who wasn't even in the country at the time the shit was going on. They were talking about how much like he sent her a large amount of money in the Philippines. He bought her tickets to go to the Philippines, blah blah blah, whatever it was. They keep talking about her, showing her picture. FBI calling her a person of interest. understand, like, wanting to get the whole story. But if you're trying to if you're collecting evidence, this thing has only happened. It's been about 4 days. So if you're trying to gather evidence as to what's going on, the evidence gathering should be in private. You know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be a press release for every fucking minutia of possible evidence that may turn out to just be hearsay or speculation. There's no reason to release that shit into the public unless you're trying to move attention away from the actual shooter to the girlfriend who happens to be a person of color. So it's troubling when they do that, because say this had been a person of Arabic descent or something like that, you're going to see immediately talk of him or the person being a terrorist, links to Al-Qaeda. They don't know any of this shit, you know what I mean? But they're automatically, those are the three things they start going to: terrorists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. They're just gonna start like throwing these words out, which most of the time have no bearing on anything. They don't know enough information to start making claims as to what affiliations they have. But and that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. White males are protected in the media when it comes to terrorist activity. Now, let's be clear: this is a terrorist attack. You killed 59 people, 58 people, and injured 400 or 500 people. That's a terrorist attack, a large-scale terrorist attack. So let's be clear. So I'll just try to point these out because the media's biased isn't doing anyone any justice. I mean, it's not. A big. I'm not making a deal of the racial implications, even though they are present. But I'm just saying, if you want to be fair about the news, the lens should be the same that you shine the light through for anyone. So if you're gonna make a person of color look like a criminal, you make a white person look like a criminal. You don't change the lens just because the person on the other end of it is different or may favor you. You have to call it for what it is. That being said, it was a horrible situation. There's been all kinds of spin, like going into gun control and what have you. I tell people like this. I don't think gun control in particular is the issue. It is the issue. I'm just saying that it's not the cause of all the violence. Is the lack of gun control. I think, if anything, how leadership from the top down treats its, or this country treats its citizens. Every day on the news, you're listening to how the government wants to cut something, pull the rug out from old people, cut their Medicare or whatever. You know, they're at every turn they're letting you know that they don't give a shit. This country doesn't give a shit about its citizens. It tells you every day. So when you're hearing this type of rhetoric every fucking day, the country at the highest levels don't give a shit about you, then why the fuck should you give a shit about anybody else? These are just things. You know what I mean? You look at persons who come from families that don't give a shit about them. They don't. I mean, parents are absent or don't give a shit either way what they're doing. You know what I mean? You can see that the children from in those families are gonna be a little searching for the word. They're gonna be disconnected from other people. They're gonna have they're not gonna care either way what's happening with other people. They're not gonna give a shit about anybody else. That's how socialization works. It's how you socialize people. If you teach them to care about themselves and others, then you won't have to worry about them being wild or disrespecting other people. This is basic upbringing. People getting brought up, they tell you that your parents, or if your parents are worth anything, they'll tell you that you treat others like you want to be treated. So if you're getting that type of message in your youth and throughout your life, you're gonna be more prone to care about people than to not. You know what I mean? I think that's the situation where we're in. We have a president that doesn't give a shit about his citizens. Just recently, a friend was telling me about a tariff that he wanted to put in place on products coming into this country. So let's be clear about what that will be. I know I'm jumping around, but I'll give you a little bit of some tidbits here and there. When you add tariffs to products that are coming in that you don't produce, or the production of which, or your production of shit is not going to meet the needs of the society as a whole, then you're going to create an inflationary situation or a recession, because nobody's going to be able to afford products. I mean, the products here at home are most likely going to be sky high, and you get these products from overseas that have the extra 10% put on top of them, so they're going to be sky high. Next thing you know, then nobody can afford shit, and we don't get paid shit here in America. Most people don't make shit anyway, so that's why we buying shit from cheap ass places, because they strangle off the ability to sustain ourselves adequately. And that's off on another little tangent, but like I always say, always pay attention to the words that are being used. Don't get emotional about the situations, and see things for what they are. America has been, this place has been so entrenched with white supremacy and white supremacist notions that there's an automatic filter that comes into play that you have to learn how to turn off if you want to be able to see things objectively. You know what I mean? goes for white people and black people. Black people are sometimes prejudiced against their own without even knowing that it's white supremacist ideas that they espouse. Which is a shame, you know what I mean? So just learn how to remove that filter. It'll make you more able to look objectively at stuff, because there definitely is raggedy news and shit coming out of the media. They call it fake news. I wouldn't call it fake news per se. Just because they put that label on all kinds of shit. But I would call it irresponsible journalism. People are so hungry for some kind of story that they just make shit up, or they go and if they get some information, they just go with that shit before they fact check it. More irresponsible journalism than it is anything. So with that being said, just keep your eyes open and your mind clear, so you can be able to receive information that doesn't have a slant to it. There's information that I receive sometimes, I mean, it sounds good to me, but sometimes if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So it's good to even check things that sound right to you. You want to double check to make sure there ain't something shady going on in the background. But with that being said, family, everybody, like I said, keep your eyes open, your mind clear, and have a good day.